Hello, my name is Abe. Welcome back to Dead Cells. Let's play our daily Dead Cells warm-up as I drink a cup of coffee. Just try to give myself the energy I need to get through the day. Apologies if there hasn't been any Dead Cells up on YouTube for a couple of days. I don't record 7 Dead Cells runs a week. That would be up to like 10 to 14 hours of work every week just playing Dead Cells. And I really just play like one a day. Sometimes I play more than one a day. I've been cutting back the Dead Cells a little bit because of other games that I've been wanting to play. Finally put the Resident Evil up on YouTube. I'm gonna get that out as soon as I can. I think that a double damage swift sword is decent. I also like the Frantic Sword. The Frantic Sword is the one that does crits when you are below 50% health or have more than 50% melees. Swift Sword does crits when you are moving fast. We can move fast, and it has a Telluric Shock, which I'm a big fan of. So I am leaning towards brutality. My brutality runs tend to eventually focus around fire or bleed, which really, that's just what you get when you're doing brutality. Those are the DOTs in brutality. But also, I just really like the fire DOTs because of the massive damage you can get. But for now, why don't we try a little bit of... No, I want this one. There we go. Why don't we try a little bit of double damage swift sword action? It fires an arrow upwards, victim's remains explode, and we'll see where we go on this run. Hey, I need my scroll, please. Infinite ammo bow. I do like the infinite ammo bow. It's actually a very solid weapon, and it's a weapon that I can utilize. But, it also does have piercing. It also seems like the game is a little loud to me. I don't think that's the case. Hey. I mean, that was exceptional damage, but then again, I am using a double damage weapon. I gotta be a little bit careful, of course, because we will take double damage. I should definitely use the bow to murder enemies, though, on this floor, because it is, it's very easy to work with. You know what? Do you want to do like a freaking face flask run too? I've been doing a lot of face flask runs recently. I have to acknowledge that. I think that it's a solid weapon. I've learned to appreciate it, and maybe we will try to do that today. Maybe use a little bit of face flask vengeance and try to make a very overpowered run. I still have not looked into what actually makes the vengeance DOT so good. I haven't run any tests. I keep saying I'm going to, and I haven't done it yet. I also have not done any of the options editing I keep telling myself that I'm going to do. You haven't disabled the red cheaty outlines, haven't done any of that nonsense, haven't turned off the lore room, so we're gonna still have the mimic cheat room show up, which I love. It's not so much of a cheat room, it's more, hey, you get to see where the mimic is gonna be because it's, you know, there's a guy being like, hey, there's mimics, be careful. Look at that. That's like the best I've ever performed in a single room. Delayed the downwards attack because I knew he was coming in on me and then obliterated him. I'm a god. You know what? Assassin's Dagger, funnily enough, does the same crit damage as the double damage Swift Sword. So I am thinking, why not just use an Assassin's Dagger, right? We'll still get the very high damage crits, but we're not gonna get that double damage. Yeah, that seems good enough for now. Also, Gotcha. And lose the double damage. We just don't need it. We don't need double damage on a weapon if there's another weapon in the game that has the same damage as the double damage, but without requiring the double damage. Yeah, and the dagger, it's slightly safer. So I'm definitely okay with that. We can also, oh, I'm sorry. I actually am. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what you expect from me though. Like this is just like the run. Except against Thornies. Yeah, except now against Thornies, you know what I do? Freaking just press Y once and then they die. This is what I wanted. Do I have 3 jumps? I do. Would you look at that? There's a amulet I ran past because I was trying to keep the damage bonus going. Let's go see what this is. Nah. No need. Where are we going on this run? The game wants me to go to the castle, which means we would fight death. Gotta be honest, not interested. We haven't done Nest in a while. We'd get no value out of Burn, but we can always go from the prison depths to the sewers or the ossuary. So why don't we go to the Arboretum to start with, and from there we'll figure out what we're gonna be doing. I want the money too. I'm a fan of this start right now though. This is like all of the good equipment that I would want in a brutality run. You got the firebrands, Phase Flask activates Vengeance, Telluric Shock, very good for like AoE crowd control. It's solid. You have fun, that's what I expect, says Warp Maulers, and if you have fun, we will too. Thank you for giving me permission to use the equipment I want. Flamethrower turret, 43 DPS. I have to test some of this equipment one of these days to see how accurate those numbers are, because that just seems so bad. I don't even think it puts fire on the ground. I think it'll light oil, but I think that's about it. We're gonna just make sure we don't accidentally kill ourselves. We're not gonna go to an early bank. That's annoying. Which is why we're gonna do it. No, we're not gonna do it. Every time, ooh, I must spill my coffee. Every time I have gone to the early banks, I have regretted it. Get out of here. I really do not want to go to the bank, die to the mimic that spawns, because you know there's gonna be a mimic. There's always a mimic in the freaking banks. And then just be very disappointed in my life choices. Gotta remember that this is also good firebrand floor here because of those flying enemies. So we will try to light things on fire if we can. Spiked shield, no thank you. God, he says, every time I've gone to the bank, I've regretted it. I regret going to the bank in the early game. I usually regret it in the late game too, but I always regret it in the early game. I can't remember the last time I went to an early bank and I was like, yeah, this was worth it. So let's just not do that. All right, we're just gonna follow this up, I guess. Thank you. You know what, we can definitely build a, going to the bank sucks even in real life. I love that. You're not wrong. Also going to my, online bank statement hurts in real life. I love the idea of building into fire. The Assassin's Dagger has no fire synergies. Telluric Shock does. Face Flask produces oil. But what we're really looking for is, I mean, that's actually pretty good, but we have to have bleeding on top of it, which we could get. What we are really looking for is something that is not fire for the nest boss if we're going that route, because it's gonna be very hard to actually kill the nest without having the damage synergies. Actually, let me rephrase, because it's not gonna be hard. It might be slightly annoying to not have any of those damage bonuses being applied. We can still do it, I just have to dodge properly, which means it's gonna be hard. I'm starting to finally get into the rhythm though. Run behind the enemies, you smack them once, you light them on fire, you can run away, they're just gonna die. Excuse me. Excuse me, coming through. There's no reason to have to engage if the fire will kill them. Which makes this a very cowardly approach, but a very fun approach too, because you know, part of the reason of playing a game like Dead Cells is for the personal fun of it, the enjoyment that you get out of it, and I like going fast. I used to not like going fast. I'm liking going fast more and more. This is a loadout that you can use to go fast. Just burn everything and then run. Interesting. You dodged me. You dodged me! Oh, I have to sneeze. Wonderful. You know, we could build, instead of fire for the boss, we could build around bleed. Sinew Slicer should do a very good job of applying bleed, doing decent damage, and then we could use this to give ourselves a better damage bonus for that boss fight. We could get rid of Phase Flask, or we could get rid of Telluric Shock. I like Telluric Shock though. It's good early game because it is very good against the annoying crowd control enemies that you have, but the fire and the bleed kind of does a similar thing, right? By the way, Academy Kill, welcome. How's it going today? Sorry. I sound like trash. It's been very rainy lately. Kicked up a lot of dust and whatnot. Are you a mimic? You're not a mimic, but I do think I'm gonna grab a Sinew Slicer. But I think I'm gonna do it at the, no, let's do it now because this is a side shop. I'm gonna forget. We still need to get Vengeance, but we'll take Vengeance. What has Abe been playing this past week? I've been playing, well, for streams, we've been playing a lot of Dead Cells. Last week, I took a look at Endless Dungeon with Mother of Zerg, had a fun time doing that, and I'm actually a little excited for it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun as long as they can fix the bugs and maybe change some of the gameplay elements a little bit, but we'll see. What are we gonna play this week? I have not decided yet, but I've got some ideas, and I might even have an idea for what to do after this Dead Cells warm-up run. And you'll never know what it is. Hey. The Ramparts. No thank you. As for me, oh yeah, we played a run of Darkest Dungeon 2 yesterday, not yesterday, but last stream, to check out the new changes to the Infernal Torch system. Had a good run, had a fun run, reminded me about how fun that game actually is. I do like it. you. And then I played the other day by myself a little bit of Dungeon of the Endless because after playing Endless Dungeon with Mother of Zerg, I wanted to do a little bit of mental comparison, so I played a few runs. I remembered just how much fun I had playing Dungeon of the Endless when it first came out, and how I would absolutely love and adore if Endless Dungeon, aka Dungeon of the Endless 2, would actually be a fantastic game. And I hope it will be a fantastic game. I have some minor reservations, but fingers crossed, of course. Didn't find the Collector in Darkest Dungeon 2. I did find the Gaunt Sharujan a couple of times. It's an interesting enemy. It's just like a unique enemy that you're going to be fighting several times over a run, I guess, depending on how many of those things you find, those Gaunt Sharujan altars. But he's not too terribly difficult himself. He's just very annoying with the constant application of bleed. That explains a lot of the enemies in that game. Constant bleed. Giant killer vampirism. You know, the other day, I remember now, the other day in Dead Cells, we had a run where I used the collector syringe for like the whole run, and that was a lot of fun. Maybe one of these days we should do another run with the giant killer and just use that for bosses. The giant kill run. His thing is that he can remove diseases from your heroes, says Connie. I guess I just didn't get any diseases on that Darkest Dungeon 2 run then, because I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what that mechanic looks like or how it actually interacts with the game. Just didn't come up. Didn't come up at all. We want to go this way. I feel a little light on scrolls. That's not the case, but what it is we've had a lot of scrolls that we've had to take for health. That being said, I actually think that our damage is fine. The Assassin's Dagger is a great weapon. If the enemy has a backside, it's a great weapon. Thank you. Nothing over there. This is our cell, room, door, whatever. Might as well, since we're here. Didn't find any floor runes. Didn't see any of those red squares. There's actually a lot of food here. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe it's you know, some sort of bias, but I feel like usually there's 3 food on this floor, or maybe it has a higher chance of spawning 3 food. And you know what? I think I'm exactly correct because of that room right there. That's not a food drop that was in a wall or was dropped by an enemy. It was just there on the floor. So that's probably why I think of there always being more food on this floor, because there probably just is. It's the same thing with the sewers. I forget which one, but one of the sewers floors has a room that can spawn that is literally just a health item. It's just right there on the floor. You just go over and you pick it up. So, I guess there probably is something to that. What do we want? Slurp, slurp. The Assassin's Dagger does do 2300 DPS, but we could take the Sadist Stiletto, which would do 3000 if the enemy is bleeding, which we can enable with the Sinew Slicer or maybe even the Face Flask. And with the Firebrand, we can apply oil to them. I think I'm gonna look for a slightly better weapon though. Wrenching Whip also does more damage on burning oil. But, if we're gonna be fighting the boss, the nest boss, if we don't find another weapon, I'd like to get a weapon that doesn't have burning oil. Maybe it just has bleed. I guess we could re-roll this, and it is still critting on bleed. For that fight, I guess we could take like a throwing knife and just use that to stack up more bleed, but if we've got the sinew slicer, that's not gonna be a consideration. We will have the sinew slicer, so. And if we take Vengeance, then the Face Flask will still provide value. The DOT is gonna be better, and then also we'll just have more damage. I'm starting to think that maybe we should just swap out the stiletto here. Maybe I'll put it in the backpack for a second. I also really like the infantry bow. We don't need another firebrand. And that's a throwing knife I was talking about, or thinking about, but a 10-second cooldown on the sinew slicer is not that bad anyways. All right, let's skedaddle. By the way, I went through that entire floor without taking damage. And that's, A, maybe a reason to, not rely on disengagement so much, because we could have had something else that would give us even more damage, but B, we didn't need anything else, and C, makes me not want to use the Sata Stiletto when the current run has worked so well. 3GM says, Abe, do you have any pets? I have no pets, but I would love a dog. I'm more of a dog person than a cat person. Cats are just like, they're just around, they don't really care for you. Dogs care for you, they love you, and you love them. But I do not have a dog myself. I also live in an apartment, and as a result, probably wouldn't be able to have a pet anyways. Until I can afford a house. By the way, click that subscribe button. It's the dog fund is what it is. Biters. Not a big biter fan. All right. Funny. Funny how you think you can stop me. And then, if we swapped some stuff on this assassin's dagger, to give it more damage against like I jumped very improperly. In the end, though, it didn't matter. But that was very dumb and stupid, and I apologize. This might be a situation to use some vengeance. Ugh. Well, thank you for the food, anyways. Hey, on the bright side, if I take damage, I don't need to worry about vengeance anymore. I was very worried about that jump I did earlier. That was a stupid jump. On the bright side, though, if I did have another weapon like the dagger, now I might be able to actually get a little bit more damage done by not worrying, or by not needing the crits, I should say. How did that happen? I could just be in front of someone. I just don't like the enemies here. They're annoying. I could be in front of someone and hit them. This floor is a lot harder than the last floor, so I'm not super worried about the damage. It'll happen. Vengeance is doing a good job with the burn in the DOT, which I assume is working to improve our damage slightly. Well, I hope more than just slightly. Whoops. Abe, have you ever played any of the Devil May Cry games? I have not. Not played Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. Are you saying I should? Should that be the next thing I play after my current Resident Evil kick? I could. I wonder how well those games have aged. Thank you. That was a nasty floor. Let's go get some food. Where was it? There it is. Man, it is a nasty floor. I remember having a floor like this in the other sewers once. Not the other sewers, but the other prison depths, where it was incredibly long, and we only got to a shop just before the exit, and it was very frustrating because I just wanted to teleport, and I kept moving forward, like, I'll fight these enemies that are trailing me as soon as we hit the teleporter so I can, you know, have the benefit of the shop. It took a while. All right. We are out of here as soon as we find the shop again. It's a bit of a long trek, a long trip. Now the face flask is good. Well, it's interesting. If I had another thing that applied bleeding, I suppose I could alternate and then use that dagger. Like if I had the cleaver trap, then we could put cleaver trap and sinew slicer down alternating and then get the crits out of the dagger. We'd lose face flask. And I'd like to have the face flask vengeance combo, potentially. So let's see. Victims release a toxic cloud with each hit. Twin daggers, not what we're looking for. Let's get out of here. You know what I would like? I would take, if it showed up, I would take a throwing knife instead of the firebrand. We could build into poison, or not poison. We could build into poison or bleed with the Seda Stiletto, which would give us more damage. Well, except it only gives us more damage flat when we are using burning oil. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. The whole Devil May Cry series is on sale on Steam, says Wart Mallerst. Do you think, chat, is it worth picking up? I saw that there were some Steam sales. I haven't really done a good job of looking into them though. But do you think that would be something that would be nice to look up? Maybe play it at some point. Oh, you know, open wounds would make the dagger way better, wouldn't it? Because after the first attack, it would guaranteed bleed, and then it'll double the damage. I still like the Assassin's Dagger for the floor though, but building into a big old bleed synergy like that does make a lot more sense, doesn't it? Combo doesn't make too much sense. Predator is always nice for the floor, but not super necessary. Then all this stuff is just whatever. Let's go the open wound route and we'll think. We'll talk. I want to finish the floor though before I worry about re-rolling weapons because I might replace them. Beyblade dude's going off today. Yeah, the freaking... Please! Thank you, oh my god, I couldn't hit him at all. Oops, I didn't see the arrows. I basically was just letting him burn, because this is not a very good build for fighting those ticks. You don't really want to be behind them. They can kick you from behind very easily. We still have very good DOT. You know, we can still burn enemies and just run past them. Which is what we're gonna be doing a lot of the time here. In fact, we might be doing this more than anticipated. You're the food shop. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna go buy the, I'm gonna buy both of his items. Let's reduce our malaise level as well as heal up a little bit. We're taking some hits. Let's make sure that we try to reduce those hits we take in the future. There's a legendary item over here, so this could very much choose what our run is. This item could determine the run. I see that it is a pick, I just can't pick it up because I'm jumping around too much. Let me, take a second to run around some of these enemies and wipe you. All right. Plus damage to a bleeding damage? Plus damage to a bleeding target, plus damage. So it's actually not that bad. We can definitely get it to have crits by the end of the floor. So, and the crits are better than the status stiletto. So I think that this is just what we're gonna be taking. I don't think I'm gonna use it until we get to 12,000 gold, which I guess is right now. It also does have stun enemies, which I'm never too sure about how that actually works, like how effective it is, but I guess it's better to have it than to not have it. One, two, three. That third hit's got a pretty nasty animation delay at the end of it, though. But we'll try. We'll try to make it work, and we'll try to, hopefully, get good damage out of this pick. It's actually, I mean, it's a pretty good weapon. As long as the damn thing works. It can be a pretty good weapon, and this is what, without even getting the bleed. Try Devil May Cry 5, if nothing else, says Connie. That's true. Could always just try the new game. It's kind of why I started with Resident Evil 2, playing through the Resident Evil games. It's like, hey, let's just play the one that I know people like. I'm not gonna start with 5 or 6. You know, I feel like this weapon... Oh man, the third attack has a delay before and after it too, which sucks. I feel like, I feel like the weapon's not too bad. Hey, at least we're getting a lot of money by using this as well. I need to find that cursed chest, though. So we're gonna try to be a little bit more conscientious about where we're actually going. Whew! I'm lucky you didn't hit me. This is the exit. There's a couple of enemies alive, so we're gonna have to do all of the lower path to get to the... get to where we are actually trying to get to. Wanna not aggro the biters and leave them for later. Also, don't wanna aggro that guy. I mean, if we can have biters on the way up. Well, I healed off of that. I was kind of hoping that the stun would last a little longer. I don't feel like the stun actually lasts that long. It's a weird... Stop. It's a weird legendary weapon, I think. Don't ever pick up Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. I wonder if that's a part of the game pack that I bought. All right, we have plenty of enemies behind us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then plus a lot of biters. We should be fine. I'll learn this weapon one day. I'm not gonna do it right now though, because I want to try to use the pick. Ah, but you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder how the pick will work on the boss. Because the pick... The pick is maybe gonna stun the boss, which might interrupt it, which might mean that I'm more likely to get hit in some situations. It's gonna be a bit wonk. Okay. I do not want to fight that elite, so what we're gonna do is do a little bit of backtracking. Why risk it is basically my opinion. Operation Raccoon City wasn't that bad, says Frosty. I know literally nothing about it myself. So hold on, go here. I knew it. I knew it. Ian Blackwell says, I tried to get into Resident Evil after the Brilliance that was Village, which I believe is 8. But the merchandise is gigantic, and I just kind of gave up. Well, that's why I picked up the like the whole series on the Humble Bundle for like 30 bucks. The only one that didn't come with it was the new one, which was Resident Evil 4, but it came with the old one, like the old remaster on Steam, so I figured that would be perfect. All right, right, we are definitely out of here, but I want to check out the shop real quick. We have plenty of money. The meat skewer is interesting because I believe that we could make it work pretty effectively. But, and I do see that it's double damage as well. And the nail might be good against this boss because you could just bounce on top of him. I don't know. And the giant killer, of course, is just fantastic, but I'm not gonna roll that. It already has more damage on bleeding target. It already has plus 20% damage. It fires arrows as well, which I like the arrows. So we could grab a throwing knife, which would give us, instead of fire, bleed. Why'd the whole screen shake there for a second? Huh. Didn't expect a mimic, because I didn't see the mimic guy on the floor. So that was an interesting one, but you know, better to be prepared. Don't need Assassin's Dagger anymore, so let's, I guess let's go. We broke the shop anyways. That was weird. Oh, hold on, I wanna look at this. Isn't there food up here? I have a vague recollection of there being food up one of these. Oh, I don't have any extra jumps. Yeah, this one. Poor guy didn't make it, but there were leftovers. And what's funny about that food is that it's infected on any difficulty. So if you're on BC 0 and you eat that food, you'll get an infection bar, which I don't think does anything. It's very, very funny to me. All right, hello. Let's get out of here. I think our weapons are totally fine. Let's do it. Da, 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 da. Ian Blackwell says I actually meant more the lore side of things. Yeah, that's one thing about the Resident Evil franchise is I hear that the lore gets a little ridiculous. Play Inscription. I don't know. I think I know what Inscription's all about, and it might be a fun experience, but is that really what I want in my life? A fun experience? Can't have that, can we? Gotta try to get the combo right. Really do not want to reroll this, so we're not going to. Sinew Slicer's fine. I guess we are good. Give it a shot. Hope for the best. Wait, did you forget Resident Evil Dead Aim? That one's a far stronger contender for worst Resident Evil game. Abe, do you like the movie Saw? Which one? Aren't there like 8? I've seen the original one. It was a movie. I guess it was a movie. It didn't really scare me or anything, but I think that isn't that also a franchise that has like very stupid and like absurd lore? One already hit the corner here, so we only have one more tentacle on the right. There you go. I gotta do something real quick. Since I'm over here. How do you do this? There you go. I have to be able to see, okay? So we gotta quickly do that, and then we can go back, and then we can go back. That worked very well, though. Is that a thing? Are there actually rules where the claws spawn? I will give you a quick little lesson on those claws. Ooh, let me look at that in a second. The claws come up out of the ground seemingly at random, and it is random, with one exception. If you are standing on the ground and you do not move, a claw can only hit you twice. It's to ensure even distribution. Otherwise, you could have, in theory, someone play the game and all the claws hit one spot on the right, and you're on the left and you're like, okay, well, that's a weird fight. So if you stand in a corner, during the fight, a maximum of 2 claws can hit you. In fact, a guarantee, I believe, of 2 claws could hit you. So as long as you dodge twice in one place, you're fine. You only have to dodge 2 claws. So instead of just constantly, panicking during the fight, stand still. It makes it a lot easier. And there you go. That's it. Nice exploit. I didn't even figure that out myself. Someone else told me a long time ago. Shots pierce. Shots pierce. Well, I don't think we're going to be taking this. I'm not a fan. Well, let me asterisk. I am kind of a fan of the repeater crossbow. Not on certain enemies, not on bosses like at all. And I do think that things like barbed tips make this a lot better, because especially with the main form of the crossbow, like the main attack that you're going to be using, like this one. You need to do damage when you're not critting, when you're not getting the actual root effect to do its passive damage. You do that with barb tips. So I'm a fan of this on a tactics run, but we're not going to get access to a high value barb tips, are we? So I think that we will we'll just continue the run that we've got. I hate to get rid of a legendary, but it's just from the flawless. We can get more legendaries later, maybe. But okay, where do we go here? Game wants me to go to the graveyard. Tempted to go to the shrines to see what else we can get, but why don't we go graveyard? Yeah, unless that happens to me all the time during that fight. I'll be in a corner and I'll be trying to dodge roll the claws that come out, and then it's claw, and so you can't dodge roll 2 claws if they're one after another. So you can parry if you have a shield. That certainly is another way of stopping the claws, because I think if you're standing still and you parry, you will block them. So you can just do that and then parry twice. I never have a shield on me lately, so doesn't really help me that much, but it is something to think about. Lemon says, I'm not a fan of the flashing fan. Welcome, Lemon. I am also not a fan of flashing fan. No pun intended. Excuse me. Hold on, I want to look something up real quick. Lemon, I think you said in the Discord that you finished Katana Zero with the Judgment ending. What a ride. What is the Judgment ending? Is that like the secret ending where I think you can fight like an extra final boss? Is that what it is? I remember when I finished Katana Zero, I kind of looked up all the different endings you could get, but I didn't go through and actually get all of them. And how did you enjoy Katana Zero? I enjoyed it myself when I played it. I think Katana Zero was a great game. Sorry, I don't mean what was, I mean is. It is a great game. Bleeding causes poisoning, bloodthirsty shield. Sure. Lemon says, I'm getting my ass kicked in hard mode. Is there hard mode in Katana Zero? I didn't. Oh! Yo, barnacle trap. Hold on, we gotta take a look at this. That's useful tech. Shots explode into a toxic cloud, which will give itself its own crits. I gotta admit, I'm very tempted to replace a sinew slicer because a legendary barnacle trap is a great piece of equipment to get. $462. The thing is, the vengeance gives you so much damage on DOT. It made the damage go from 140 to 460. It's hard to say that I want to, get rid of that in order to take a couple of turrets, because that's what we could do. We could take 2 turrets. And we would get poison, and it would be nice, but it wouldn't be that insane high vengeance damage. It's a tough call, I think. Vengeance is OP, so maybe we don't want to stick with vengeance, but I mean, I had this face flask since floor 1. It's like the game wants me to do it. And for some reason, it's apparently very, very, very good on DOT builds. Is there money down here? If only support worked here, says Maxwell. I mean, support would work with the sinew slicer. It would work with barnacle trap too. Vengeance is definitely not balanced around having face blast. Yeah. That's the thing, it's just so good. It's my new love in Dead Cells because it's very broken, and I had been sleeping on this for a long time. And it's kind of funny because I really think that Face Flask is actually kind of trash. The exception is, if you roll Vengeance, it becomes one of the strongest items in the game, and I think that's kind of funny. And all it takes is one mutation. Vengeance has no cap. Well, you know, realistically it does. You only get a certain number of scrolls per run. Getting double damage for 8 seconds. More than that with, again, more than double damage with bleed, or burn, because for some reason it gets applied multiple times, the damage bonus. I don't know why. I mean, hold on, what is 146 divided by 462, right? 0.31, maybe I have to do that backwards. 462 divided by 146. It's like tripling the damage. It's like Vengeance gets applied twice, plus 100%, plus 100%, or something. Actually, our Vengeance right now is 78%, which I think it is being applied just literally twice, times 2, so it's not plus 78%, it's plus 78%, and then plus 78% of 78% on top of the 78%. Whatever it is, it's very, very good, and I think that's part of the reason why it's so broken. Bad math. That's funny. We'll definitely take it. All right, now we got a legendary cleaver trap that also applies bleed. Would you imagine that? Yeah, like, just why not? Yo, look at the damage on that frantic sword. Ah, but only on crits. Let's stick with the gold digger. Lemon says, I used Wings of the Crow on Brutality with Vengeance. It was pretty funny. I assume you mean like a colorless one? I love it. Wish there was a way of knowing where the cursed chest was located ahead of time. Yes, die in the spikes. More bleed. I mean, we've got multiple legendary traps on this floor. The big question is, you know, what do we take? What do we leave behind? Do we leave a legendary barnacle trap behind because we can only hold 2? And I'd rather have Vengeance? Possibly. Think something is gonna try to eat me. Trying to leave some enemies behind because I'm still looking. Is that it? I think that might be it right there. There's also a bug for infinite floating with Wings of the Crow, but we don't talk about that. I've seen, I think, some pictures of infinite floating. There we go. Time to finally get the stupid achievement of kicking the queen into the void with a level 1 Spartan sandals in the backpack on 0 BC, says 9. Last time an arrow killed her because it was too high level. I had the same problem. I had the same problem with the queen. I had the same problem with the death fight. It's like kill death with the cat and then also kill Dracula with vampire whip. Same problem. I hope that they kind of fix that issue, those issues, because it is so annoying when you're trying to get those achievements and it's freaking impossible. Hate them. Lemon says I had a 4 times damage Vorpan. The arrows were shooting. The arrows shot were killing things in 1 hit. That's always a fun build whenever you get like a quad damage. Because it does affect the arrows that get fired out, and so those arrows can just be absurdly powerful. Hey, another cleaver trap. You know, I would like maybe another face flask if we're gonna roll this. Get more effects, at least. No? Alright, well, screw you then. Again, I kind of want to do a giant killer run at some point. We don't have to do it now. Ow. I saw that coming. I kind of just let it happen. I regret everything, man. Been a pretty good run, though. I've not taken too many hits. We've got good damage. The Gold Digger plus Bleed synergy has been working very well. I gotta remember that downwards attacks count as melee. So if you do a downwards attack onto an enemy and you have open wounds, you will inflict bleed. You can immediately just downwards attack into a swing. Also, I find it interesting how when you use Gold Digger, most of the time on weapons that have like big combos like this, the last hit does the most damage. Gold Digger is kind of inverted. The first hit does the most damage in the combo, which makes it very nice because you can walk up to an enemy, hit him once, and that's the biggest damage part of your combo. You can kill him in 1 hit, you can just run past him at that point. I like that. The third hit definitely has the AoE component, but you don't necessarily need it. Shots explode to a toxic cloud. I should re-roll this cleaver trap because it doesn't have any good affixes on it. I still want the barnacle, but Face Flask Vengeance is too good. Part of my general thinking in Dead Cells, part of how I play is I will find equipment that is doing a lot of damage, and I'll try to stack up as much as that as possible. It's so that I have every piece of equipment helping with the fight, doing damage. Sometimes it's just enabling, like it applies poison so it can give poison damage bonuses to other pieces of equipment. But Face Flask essentially does no damage on its own, but because Vengeance is so strong, it is still worth it. I have to keep remembering that. Sure, the Barnacle Trap gives itself crits, but Vengeance might still be stronger than the Barnacle Trap. I don't mind going to the Mausoleum. Let's do it. Where is it? We get more money on the path, which I guess is one reason to do that, if not the only reason to do that. Let's do it. Yeah, because I'm thinking for the fight, we'll have Vengeance, we'll have Bleed, we can run him over the trap, and then we can dodge to the other side of him, hit him once, dodge away, it'll reset the combo. The first hit of the combo does the most damage, so we should be able to get a lot of damage done to him. Alternatively, I could block, but I think I'm not gonna do that. I think I'm just gonna smack him. Hey Mud, welcome. How are you doing today? I'm doing all right myself. Have a cup of coffee, playing some Dead Cells. Lathan Ron, welcome. Another Dead Cells streamer, instant follow. Always good to see another Dead Cells fan out there. And call me whatever. Call you Ron. How about Ronnie? Do you like Ronnie? Hey Ronnie. If you like Dead Cells, I do store every single Dead Cells run on YouTube. I've got like 400 episodes. If you like Dead Cells, go watch them. Exclamation mark links. I think the chat bot works today. I do like me some Dead Cells. I've been playing this since early access. Yeah, let's do it. Dead Cells deserves more recognition. I think it got a lot of recognition, especially on early access. So many people gave Dead Cells so much praise when it came out in early access version 0.0. Everyone was like, this game is wonderful and you should play it. I think it also got a lot more like gaming news when it had the Castlevania DLC. Everyone was like, hey look, this game, this rogue-lite got some DLC, official Castlevania stuff. And everyone was like, that is cool, because it was. Yeah, extra jumps. Not to say that it doesn't deserve the praise, because it absolutely does. I love how he dodges the hit and he just is stationary. He's a player. I guess he kind of is. I mean, his name is Failed Experiment. Gotcha. Whoa! It'll come back. You gotta like open the map. Oh, you know, it probably just landed down here. There it is. What's your favorite weapon? Lathan. Sorry, Ronnie. I've got a lot of preferences. I think my all-time favorite weapon in this game, the weapon that if I had to pick one singular weapon, I think it would be Explosive Crossbow. I think that might be like the best weapon in the game. It doesn't have like stupid synergies, but it's just good. It gives you a good melee attack with good knockback and a good ranged attack that does a lot of damage, does AoE. Like it's comfortable, it's familiar. It's not the strongest weapon in the game, I think. I think it's just the most I guess kind of just like the most easy weapon to use. I'm a proponent. If people ask me, I'll tell them. Not the gravestone. I like the gravestone. I don't like it for bosses as much. I think that's where the crossbow has the edge. With the gravestone, yeah, it's absolutely fun. The tombstone, by the way, not the gravestone. Nerd glasses. It's satisfying to get the combo kills on things, absolutely. But I think it's a little harder to use against bosses. The crossbow doesn't have that problem, I don't think. I would love a face flask, a replacement. Electric whip or magic missiles, really? That's interesting. They still haven't fixed that. Let me get a nice picture of this. Tell me what's wrong with this picture. Synergy between the electric whip and magic missiles. Synergy? Speaking of announcements, wasn't there like a Nintendo Direct and PS State of Play today, says Segus Jr. Nintendo is re-releasing some of their games. They're gonna make like another Mario. What's the flat Mario games? The ones where he's paper. They're gonna remake like Thousand Year Door or something. That was their announcement. More remakes. They're basically just, they're admitting they don't know how to make games anymore, so they're just gonna give you the same game that they've made previously. Ever tried Electric Whip Kunai? Electric and Bleeding, my friend. Well, like, Electric Whip and Magic Missile, or Electric Whip and Kunai, there's not, I can't think of like an actual like synergy between the two. They kind of fulfill a similar purpose, which is aiming. You know, you don't have to actually aim either one of those. It's not like they provide damage bonuses to one another. But I have not tried them both at the same time. Actually, I don't really use Electric Whip all that often. That's the thing. If I find an Electric Whip, I'm more likely to just sell it. Except on death. Lemon has definitely, you know, proven his point. That the Electric Whip is fantastic to use on the death fight. I believe him. Oop, not that way. About time, Nintendo. That's the Paper Mario that I believe everyone loves. So it makes sense that people are excited. It's the good one. They're also doing a roguelike DLC for Splatoon 3. Interesting. Consoles winding down, a few new fan favorite remakes are being pushed before the Switch 2. Does, I don't know, what happened to you? Does Nintendo have a good, like, backwards compatibility thing? Like, if you bought it for the Switch, would you be able to play it on their next console? I guess, you know, the true answer is you wouldn't know, but like, I think that's the biggest reason why I don't like consoles, is because there's no like built-in guarantee that you can still play the games later. At least, you know, if you buy something on PC, you know that you're gonna be able to play it whenever you want. Until the servers go down. Nice, the arrow got him. Gotta remember, downwards attack is bleed. Hey. Weapons. I don't think we need a new weapon. Nope. Got him. Connie says, my biggest gripe with consoles is that games are developed to run on them. What? My biggest gripe with consoles is that games are developed to run on them. Yeah, they're also developed to run on PCs, your toaster, your fridge. I think it would be hard to make a game for a console if you didn't develop it to run on the console. So I guess I'm confused as to the point. Toaster. Yeah, you could run Doom on a toaster. Someone's done it. Awesome potential that could have been realized on PCs. Oh, you mean for like modding and whatnot? You're like, they could make the game far more open and accessible, stuff like that. I missed a scroll fragment. Let's go get that. I missed some money, but we don't really need the money right now, but we need the fragment. Of course it was Doom. I mean, of course it was Doom. That game has been made to run on anything. I could probably find a version that would run on my calculator in the closet. It's left and then down. Dude, this has been a solid run. This might be like one of my best performed runs in a while. Like multiple floors of not taking damage. Solid performance. Maybe I'm feeling it. Maybe this is my favorite weapon in the whole game now, the freaking gold digger. I don't know. That says good old TI-85. 86, come on. Oh, I wanted to look for a face blast. Ron says I joined, that's why. Yeah, I've gotta perform as optimally as possible. I gotta make a good first impression. All right, no face blast. I think that one criticism you could levy would be that exclusives are not ideal for the gaming marketplace and for consumers, but that's not an argument against consoles. That's an argument against consoles now. You know, they could fix that. They could just stop doing exclusives, and then that argument would be not applicable anymore. I want more games like Crysis that absolutely will not run on anything current. Oh, so you mean Starfield? Bum, 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 bum. The game that requires an SSD to run. Where the, what was it, like the CEO or whatever said, you know, we're not making this to play on everyone's computer. We're making this to push the boundaries of the hardware, which is really just PR speak for we didn't optimize the game at all. Which I find hilarious. I should take support instead of open wounds. We should not have done it like this, but that's okay. Boing, boing, boing. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Toss this. Oh, I didn't re-roll the cleaver trap. Damn it, that's fine. We'll have another one off of cooldown. We're gonna do Y, dodge, X, constant, and then RT. RT, Y, dodge, X. no! Ah, damn it, I didn't see the freaking mushroom. Whatever, just die, I don't care. Didn't have as much damage as I was hoping for. I was really hoping that the cleaver trap and the bleed would be able to just keep him going between the phases. So I'm gonna tell you what happened. I thought that both mushrooms were blown up. There was still one on the corner. And then for some reason I was like, I should jump on that thing. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Okay, we are going to swap mutations. This also would have helped a lot. Having straight up 37% extra damage on the fight would have made the difference. We would have had no problem had I done that correctly. But I didn't. Because I'm a fool. Could also maybe choose a tainted flask. Get up to full health and then have bonuses for the boss fights. That's pretty good. '68 says, I'm used to games requiring an SSD. I play Path of Exile. I've never played Path of Exile. Why did you come after me? Did you see me? Okay, we are looking for another faced flask. All right, see you later. Dun, 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 dun. Whoa, interesting. An enemy that didn't die in one shot. My God, what has he done? Path of Exile, the better Diablo. Maybe when you compare it to Diablo 4. How is the Diablo 4 community and game right now? Is it going strong or has it died out? As someone who didn't buy or play Diablo 4, I have no strong opinion one way or another. It's on life support. Rip Diablo then. I know you're gonna be here. I'm surprised that you're not dying, but that's without vengeance, and that's without our support damage bonus as well. We've got a lot of damage bonuses that are not being applied by default, so I'm not too concerned. The elites are still dying, very quickly when I'm actually using my abilities. Hold on, there's something up here. Be fun if you had an opportunity to redo it by taking a curse. If you flawless legendary loot, if you don't, you die. Says disposable. I think I would have had it had I taken the support ability. And as soon as I walked through the door, I even mentioned it because open wounds is a synergy enabler. We haven't needed that since I picked up the freaking throwing knives. We should not have lost that flawless, but that's a pretty tough boss. He can get pretty tricky. Hey, knock it off. Dun, dun, dun. All the Diablo games are worse than Path of Exile, says Warp Maulers. I think you have to, however, acknowledge that Diablo, without Diablo, you probably wouldn't have a Path of Exile. It's pretty integral to the history. Nice. Enemies are dying when I get the arrows to hit as well. That's what's going on. 2 chests, no cursed chests. That's not how you do that. Almost to $100,000. It's a lot of cash. Weapons, not interested. Although a better weapon than the Gold Digger would be appreciated. It would have to be, I mean, we could roll Spite Sword, look at that. 60% damage on a bleeding target. I mean, we can enable the crits with Vengeance pretty much at all times. I mean, let me think about this. You know, it's rarely worth it to ignore a legendary weapon early, but as you get later and later into the game, this level 7, 8 weapon, they start to show their age. So maybe we do want to consider a replacement at this point. I mean, they're still dying in one hit, which is nice. Wow, a cross. So glad I did that. We took a hit, but we healed up very wonderfully. And that was essentially what I wanted. You know, if you take a hit, heal up. Blizzard, they killed their Diablo community. I mean, I played the Diablo 4 demo. I just couldn't. You dick. I couldn't find myself getting invested. I want a new game. I like the Diablo franchise. I just felt a little bit unenthused about another game to sell me loot boxes. Diablo 4 lacks in endgame content, has all the other fun greedy additions as a in the modern age. My understanding is that they have addressed some of the greedy issues, like there's no like in-game marketplace, or rather when you I think there might. Is there an in-game marketplace in Diablo 4? You can't just buy legendaries though. When you pick them up, they get like locked to your account. I was in the air when he hit. They get locked to your account, so you can't just sell them for cash. But I don't know if there is. I think there might be like an in-game marketplace for other things, maybe like gems. I'm sure there's things to socket, so that would make sense. Let's grab this. Bud says, this is the you guys have phones, right, company? Yeah. And the current CEO of Unity, who was a previous CEO of EA, famously wanted to charge people playing Battlefield microtransactions for ammo in their reloads. It goes all the way down. All the way down to the dumpster. Kind of want to look at that weapon shop, but let's see. No shop like in Diablo 3, but we know how the story goes. I believe it was something along the lines of when someone's playing the game for 10 hours, 20 hours, 50 hours, they're invested. We can charge them $1 for a reload, and they don't think much about it. Gold Digger's been a lot of fun. I guess we can keep it for the biomes. We could have a spite sword for the boss, since it would theoretically be doing more damage. It's got more arrows too. Actually, it's got the same number of arrows, but they do more damage. So it would be like... So we're looking for a weapon that does more than 53,000. Well, there's a weapon that does more than 53,000, but something else. Hook hand, when you throw an enemy, they do crits. That doesn't happen normally. Alucard's sword. Nothing to bounce on with the laser glaive. Comb, we're not gonna have him in the air. Hemorrhage. You know, there's something to be said for maybe hemorrhage in the backpack, but I don't think we want that. We have enough perks that we're utilizing. I think we're just gonna... We're just gonna use this. The thing is, it's 10,000 more DPS, so... But it doesn't require enabling, but we're gonna enable it all the time with the face flask, so yeah, sure, let's do it. All right. I still think I want the pick for the next biome. I still think that's good because it does so much damage on the first attack. I do hate that this kind of pulls you forward on the kick, but oh well, let's give it a got. Give it a got, give it a go. Get, got, go. Should have used a healing flask before we activated him. I think it's instead of using a heal, I'm just gonna smack him. I didn't see him turn around. His animation got all wonky. I didn't, he did the 1, 2, 3 punch. I didn't see the first attack. So I thought his second attack was gonna go to the left. Instead, he was turning around. I think I probably hit him with the spiteful sword kick, and that's what caused his attack combo to get wonky. So I gotta be honest, it's just maybe a reason to not use Spite Sword ever, because it interrupts. Maybe a reason to not use a weapon like the comb, you know? Because if that picks up an enemy into the air, that's gonna probably interrupt them. And if you interrupt a boss, they behave a little unpredictably. Same thing with it's the same problem that I have with certain weapons like turrets. The high damage ones that can interrupt. I like it for certain fights. Best fight is the Watcher fight, because if that boss gets interrupted, you don't care. For the other ones, maybe not so much. Oh, I see you. Please jump. There you go. Thank you. Dun, 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 dun. Where am I? Come here. Yeah, go ahead. Hit my freaking trap. I don't exactly know what happened there, but I'll accept it. I'll take another level of brutality, please. He lived longer than most elites on this floor. Segas Jr. says, new Darkest Dungeon 2 news. They're announcing an open beta and have patch notes. Well, what's in the... Well, read it to us, man. Don't keep me hanging. What should we expect? When's it coming out? Random weapons. This is when we want to get a new weapon. This is the floor. That's not what I'm looking for. Unless it was legendary. You know, maybe we should have taken a wish to come down here. 31,000 DPS. Hit. No, we want something that benefits from bleeding, not applies bleeding, I think. And something that's that I know how to use. Although I will have to do that one of these days, actually use the whip sword until I know how to use it correctly, since I don't. Gotta finish reading them first, hold on. No, I want my instant satisfaction. I want it and I want it now. But you were telling me about the upcoming updates the other day, I think it was you, that Darkest Dungeon 2 is probably gonna have something where you can choose your own paths for your units when you hit an inn. I remember that. And it's probably gonna be like balancing things too, but that's the big one that I remember. That's the only one that I can remember. Dude, we have seen no bonus runes on this run. No cursed chests. It has been a weak run from that standpoint. Oh, you died? Oh, poor boy. He's just a poor boy. From a poor family. No, get out of here. Get these skulls out of here. I want these mother trucking skulls out of my mother trucking tower. Okay. I did not think he could teleport while being shielded. Does that not strike anyone else as a little strange? It strikes me as a little strange. Oh yeah, they were gonna like redo. Oh, finally one. They were gonna redo the. Let's turn that off before I forget. Accessibility settings. There you go. I would have seen it because I wanted to see if there was a rune on the wall. They were gonna change the eye fight yet again. Since it's still a little jank. Oh yeah, and the death blow token system. I remember that. As soon as you remind me, then I remember everything that you told me. You know what? I don't care. I got enough freaking heals. We're gonna use one anyways before we get into the fight. It's gonna be... we don't need to keep exploring, we're done. Although, if there's another scroll, we do want to find... Okay, let's... I'll go until I find the map completion, and then we'll bail. Okay, don't die. Okay. There is a scroll, so I guess we will go get that. Oh, give me a second, give me a second. Choose your skill order. The order in which you select your hero's active skills will be the order they appear on the bars. That's how it worked in Darkest Dungeon 1. I gotta be honest, I actually prefer the Darkest Dungeon 2 system where the order of the skills are always the same order, because it means that I don't have to spend the time actually reordering them manually. If ever you watch me play Darkest Dungeon, that's why sometimes I would select a skill, unselect all the other skills, and then, you know, do that. It was always very annoying to do that. Even on BC0, the shielded enemies would jump and still keep their shields. So he teleported, which I didn't expect. Normally shielded enemies can't teleport. You'll notice that whenever you're in high BCs, I see you, and you're in a level with the protectors, the defenders. So I didn't anticipate that. Maybe, I think he lost the shield for a split second, but I didn't notice. Kanye says, I prefer attacks then heals then support. See, and that's why the Darkest Dungeon 1 system was good, because you could choose, but I preferred the Darkest Dungeon 2 system, so it was good for me. You know, not broken for me, working as intended. Now, if they really wanted to, I guess what they could have done is they could make a system where you can select the order that they appear all the time, so you never have to fiddle. Because that's what I don't like doing. I don't like fiddling. Like, oh, I have a fight coming up, I have to change one thing so I can fiddle. I gotta fiddle with my items, my order of equip load here. Limerick damage scaling per token increased from 25 to 100% damage. I hope that they change the fight in more ways, because on its own, that's just gonna make it a lot harder. I already hate that fight with the stupid limerances, but... The death blow token system is gonna be interesting, because it's gonna make it not RNG based. And there are some fights in which that's gonna be a good thing, and some fights in which that's gonna be a negative thing. Because if you got lucky RNG, you could end a fight earlier than you think, but if you got bad RNG, the fight might drag on for a little bit. Well, I guess we're just gonna be using this, so let's do it. No spite sword for me. Yeah, da, da, da. Yep. Limerence has more counterplay, but it's punishing if you fail to counter it. I'm curious what the counterplay is gonna be, since I don't know. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Could you knock it off? I hate that guy. Oh, you know what? This also has like a stun effect on it, so it's not as obviously better as I thought it might be. Why is he doing this? There you go. All right, well, I mean, we took a hit, but we got him. That was a fun run. The pick is really good. I gotta admit though, the legendary effect stunning bosses, it was definitely interfering with him slightly, this guy. Because here's the thing, the stun effect from like a flashbang, it stuns for like 5 seconds. And that makes sense because it has like a 14-second cooldown or something. So it stuns for like a third of the time. Bosses tend to reduce that somewhat, so like they might have 50% resistances to the stun, so it would only last for like 2 seconds. But the pick, because it stuns for only like a half second against a boss like this, it only stuns for like 0.2 seconds. So it's not a lot of value. What it does do is it interrupts enemies' attacks and makes them do something else unexpectedly. So the flow of the combat gets a little thrown off. I noticed it against the Hand of the King. Well, I noticed it against the Hand of the King with the Spite Sword, which is kind of similar. But I noticed it using the pick against that boss that we just fought, the spoiler boss, because it did kind of interrupt the flow a little bit. He wasn't behaving entirely as I expected him to. But it's still a very good weapon, and it's very good for the biomes because it does front load a lot of damage. So I gotta maybe think about that pick a little bit more. Maybe not for survival runs, but for brutality runs maybe. Is it even a brutality weapon? I gotta be honest, I don't know, but I'm looking for it up here. No, it's a pure survival weapon, it's right there. So you wouldn't normally get that on a brutality run. I guess it would be fine for a survival run, but there's so many other more interesting survival weapons, for sure. And in order to, if Ron is still here, in order to give Ron a little bit of an answer, a better answer, favorite weapons. I gotta say the pick, it's gone up in my tier after using it today. Baseball bat, exceptional. Legendary machete pistol where you just get the gun, exceptional. I don't like the non-legendary version though. Flint, 10 out of 10, fantastic weapon. Hokuto's bow and explosive crossbow, exceptional for, exceptional for tactics, of course, but if you get a colorless or legendary Hokuto's bow in another run, I'll definitely take it. And survival explosive crossbow is pretty good. Iron staff is really nice. It's a little finicky, but it does so much damage. Tombstone is great. Yumi, the Yumi is wonderful. I'm a big fan of the Yumi. It's a fun weapon to use and it also just does a lot of damage. Boomerang, I like Boomerang. Penchaku. I'm starting to love the tentacle because it's so funky and gives you iframes and it's very strange. So I think those would probably be my top picks. Of course, Money Shooter as well, but that's a special case weapon. It's supposed to be good. So I would say that those are primarily my like top tier picks. And then, you know, honorable mentions, Oiled Sword, Giant Killer, even Magic Missiles, War Spear, those are pretty good. Death Scythe, I mean, Death Scythe is good if you're rolling a survival run. Maybe even Oven Axe. And as for S tier, like worst, right there, Heavy Crossbow. Worst weapon in the whole game. I absolutely despise that weapon. Kunai's up there. I mostly use it as an enabler for other, oh, you know what? Nerves of Steel S tier. Fantastic weapon. Oh, and Firebrands is honorable mention. Not a requirement, but a very useful piece of equipment. But yeah, the Heavy Crossbow just sucks. Anyways, for now, for those of you on YouTube, thank you very much for watching. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe for more, check me out on Twitch, or when I go live, support the channel at any of the links below in the video description, and I hope to see you here again for the next run of Dead Cells.